guys, so I'm here today to do a video that I haven't done in quite some time but used to do a lot more regularly, and that is a beautiful books video. So if you haven't seen one of these before, then what I usually do is intermittently do a video where I feature 6 books with absolutely stunning covers, and I do both hardback videos and paperback videos and split it up that way. And the last one I did was in fact a paperback video back in 2017, so I thought it was about time I did another hardback installment. The purpose of these videos is really just to appreciate some beautiful design work. I think so much work goes in by individuals and teams into designing, illustrating and creating stunning book covers that I think it is worth shouting about them and giving them a little bit of attention, whilst also letting you know about some books I enjoyed. So without further ado, let's get into the beautiful covers. This was not a difficult video to find books for. And the first book I'm going to show to you is The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell. So if you've seen these videos before, then you might have noticed trends in what I adore in a hardback, and a naked hardback is something I love. So for some reason I'm so drawn to hardbacks that don't have a dust jacket, and instead all of the design has gone into illustrating this gorgeous hardback. So the design of this cover is accredited to @H, AITCH, so you can look them up and probably see more of their gorgeous illustrations. But what I love about this cover is how much it means once you've read the book, you understand it all the better. So this is a collection of sort of magical realism short stories, and the closer you look at this front cover, the more details you see in it. So obviously we have a heart and we have flowers, and that is quite an obvious sign, but we also have fish and planets in the slightly more background. But even more than that, if you look at this heart, it has illustrated into it waves, a swan, a boat, a knife, a small hand here and there, and all of these images not only give you a little bit of a sense of what you're going into, an intricately woven magical realism short story collection, but once you've read them you can identify which stories that they reference, and I love the detail that has gone into this cover, and this is what the back looks like as well. Next up is a book that came out quite recently and is definitely one of my absolute favourite covers to be released in 2018, and that is The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. This is the UK edition. The US edition is quite different. I actually have seen it on a lot of people's channels in the US, but I have to say I adore this cover. And it's one of those books that is just full of beautiful design details. So we have gorgeous end papers with little birds on them, and we even have the same birds embossed on the front of the hardback. This book is published by Hamish Hamilton, and the gorgeous cover illustration is done by Sarah Young. And actually I've not shown you the back. It just keeps going, guys. It's just stunning. And this is a stunning book. It is an emotional, heartbreaking book, but stunning nonetheless. It is a retelling of the Iliad, which is an ancient Greek epic poem by Homer. However, it follows the perspective of Briseis, who is a Trojan queen who is enslaved by the Greeks during this war and becomes the sort of sex slave of Achilles, the Greek hero. And it's about her experience and her perspective and her feelings towards everything that's going on, and it doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of what's happening to her. But I think it's such an important perspective to explore, and such a wonderful book for Pat Barker to have created. As a classicist, I genuinely think books like this are so important to helping us consider antiquity in a new way, and I thought it was a wonderful way to retell the story. I actually had the honour of interviewing Pat Barker for my podcast, That's Ancient History, and that episode will be going up during this month. It is the first episode of season 2, so it'll be up in October, so keep an eye out. But honestly, I would love a poster of this. Another 2018 release, because apparently 2018 publishers, designers are on their A game, and that is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This is the first in the Mirror Visitors series. This is a YA fantasy series originally written in French and translated into English by Hildegard Serrel. This is the first in the series and the only one so far to be released in English. The sequels will be coming out in the future, published by Europa, who specialise in translated fiction. However, this is their first ever young adult book, and I'm so pleased they picked it up, because just wonderful, wonderful story, and it's so wonderful that I now have access to it as somebody whose French is pretty rocky and wouldn't probably have heard of it if it hadn't been translated. But it is an equally gorgeous cover, and I was equally convinced to read this book by the cover. I think it really gets across how magical it is, and it intrigues you, it draws you in. This illustration is actually of City Celeste, which is the part of the fantasy world that our protagonist Ophelia travels to when she's betrothed to a stranger from this city. And it's so interesting hearing about the way this world is described in the book. There are these sort of floating islands, they've got all these layers that you can travel up and down between. It's freezing cold in City Celeste, and I actually think it's really handy having this illustration. Helps me understand and visualise it all a little bit better. But I also just love that it is this simple blue hardback, which is a gorgeous shade, with this black hand-drawn illustration on the front. I just think it's so simple yet so gorgeous and just really draws you in. And this is designed by Emmanuel Ragnisco. A book that came out in 2017 is this bad boy. Just take a minute to take that in. Dun, 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 dun. Again, it is a naked hardback, which you know I adore. It is such a weighty tome, this one, and the paper is so luxurious as well. It's just a gorgeously produced luxury book, really. This is the Faber Book of Christmas in collaboration with Liberty of London Fabrics. So it is published by Faber and Faber, who are publishers, and it is a book that they brought out around Christmas time, collecting together various different authors writing about Christmas. So we've got Charles Dickens, Philip Larkin, Julie Cooper, Dylan Thomas, to name a few. And we have poetry and stories and various other little extracts filling up this gorgeous volume. But like I mentioned, it was done in collaboration with Liberty of London. Liberty of London is both a quite famous luxury department store in London, and Liberty Fabrics designs a lot of gorgeous, you know, prints for various things sold in Liberty, like scarves, and obviously they've done this gorgeous print for this book. And you know, I'm probably never going to own a Liberty scarf given how expensive they are, so I am incredibly pleased to own a Liberty book because it is just one of the most beautiful things sitting on my bookshelf at the moment. And apparently this is the citronella fabric design, so perhaps you can actually get this on other things as well. Have a matching household to match your book. But another short story collection I have to share with you is Tango, Weed and Brine by Deirdre Sullivan. Naked, hardback, tick. Simplistic colour scheme, tick. Gorgeous sort of like vine-like symmetrical border design. These are the kind of things I love in a front cover, and this is just stunning. This is a young adult fairy tale retelling short story collection which gives voice to what's going on in the minds of the female characters of some of your favourite fairy tales, and perhaps how they're reacting to their situation. It is very clearly based on the dark original fairy tales, and these are dark stories, and they highlight some of the darker themes of fairy tales like abusive relationships, domestic abuse, being out of place, escaping, being taken advantage of. Dark themes, but they are incredibly empowering in the way that they examine the female perspective on these stories, and I thought this collection was really, really wonderful. It's by Deirdre Sullivan, if I didn't already mention, and it's another one where there's so many details in this front cover. So we've got a little frog up here, if you can see, we've got a key, we've got a crown, we've got a hand coming out of a mirror, a fish, a rabbit, a spinning wheel, a shoe, you know, another one where you can just get a hint of what kind of fairy tales you're getting inside here, an axe, and it's all just intricately woven inside, and it goes on to the back as well. This one also has a lovely finish to it. It's got like a waxy feel to it. I believe that's a matte lamination, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But this is published by Little Island, who are an Irish publisher, and the book is illustrated by Karen Vaughan. And that does not just apply to the front cover. Each of the stories in this book is accompanied by an absolutely gorgeous, intricately detailed black and white illustration, which I think is such a treat. I love illustrated books, and I just think it's just a gorgeous accompaniment to each story. It really brings it to life. Let me see if I can find more illustrations. Here's a gorgeous one here. Yeah, just absolutely stunning inside and out. words and pictures. But last but certainly not least, I'm going to mention another fairy tale retelling, and this one is a novel entirely retelling one fairy tale, and that is The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. This has another one of my favourite elements that actually hasn't been on any of the books so far that we've mentioned, but that's foiling. So we have silver foiling on the front of this book, which is the sparkly element that kind of shines when I move it here. And it just sort of details little elements like the fish and the mirrors. But if you can probably guess from the cover and this gorgeous mermaid with her red flowing locks, this is a retelling of The Little Mermaid. And again, very much based on the original Hans Christian Andersen story, which is a lot darker than the Disney film. In this story, our Little Mermaid character not only loses her voice, but every time she walks upon her feet, feels excruciating pain throughout them, and has to try and make this man fall in love with her before her time is up. But like Louise O'Neill's books, this one very much deals with real, contemporary, relatable themes of sexism and misogyny through this fairy tale, and I just think this is a stunning cover. Again, this is another one where I would quite happily have this as a piece of artwork on my wall. And this is one where once you take the dust jacket off, treat inside, it is decorated with silver foiled scales, and I'm just so in love with the inside of this book as much as the outside when it comes to design. This is published by Scholastic Books, and the cover illustration design has been done by Paulo Escobar. All of these books have been absolutely gorgeous though. I hope you have enjoyed having a peek into some of my favourite book covers. If you haven't seen my previous videos in this series, I will link the playlist down below with all of them inside of it. As always, I love to hear about your favourite book covers, and then I can go and look them up and sort of drool over them. So do leave them in the comments down below, as well as your thoughts on any of the books I have mentioned in this video. But until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!